You're not alone. A lot of people are doing this, and our sleep is what is the dishwasher for our brain. This is where we get our energy. This is where we refuel our tank, but we refuel our brain. But we also refuel our self-regulation to be able to make great decisions. And so in the morning, if you've had a terrible sleep and interrupted sleep, chances are you're not going to eat well. You probably won't move your body, and you'll probably spend more money. Now, there's evidence around that.
There is.
So how do we be the protector of our sleep? Because there's plenty of sleep robbers out there, and our phones can be one of those. I'm Lyndall Mitchell, and my values are health, family, and economic security, which really gives me that freedom of choice later in life. And my big belief is that it's the small things in life that you do consistently that make the greatest change.
I'm Di Gillett, and welcome to the Power of Women podcast. We're a platform that celebrates and showcases the strength, resilience and achievement of women from all walks of life. And this is an invitation to join the Power of Women community and follow us on every game-changing, unfiltered conversation with these amazing women. Today, I have the privilege to showcase the story of a woman who is the pioneer of the wellness sector in Australia. And she has lived and breathed it for more than 3 decades. Lyndall Mitchell is the founder of Aurora Spa, Australia's first award-winning urban spa group. She's also a coach, a speaker, author and entrepreneur who has built a wellness ecosystem designed to give her clients something many of us struggle to find: permission to pause. Her story is one of vision and an unwavering devotion to her clients, a devotion that sees her employ and empower nearly 50 women in the organisation, and she guides executives through transformational change and inspires companies and individuals across Australia and globally. So today in our conversation, we're going to explore what it means to refuel your emotional and physical petrol tank, why ignoring the signs of burnout comes at such a cost, and how wellness is a necessity for leadership, life and longevity. Lyndall Mitchell, welcome to the Power of Women podcast.
Thank you, Di. It's so wonderful to be here with your community.
Thank you. Lyndall, you've been immersed in the wellness space for, as I said, almost 3 decades, or it might even be tipping over 3 decades, since you were actually 14.
Correct.
So can you take us back to that experience of Camp Eden when you were work experience from the neighbouring property and what you saw that really resonated and drew you into this industry?
I grew up next door to Australia's first health retreat, and at the age of 14 had the opportunity to do work experience there. And I already knew the staff because Mum and I had a little banana stall down on the side of the road where you put money in the jar for the bananas.
I love that. Honesty system. Yeah.
The honesty system. And so we got to know all the staff that worked at Australia's first health retreat, being Camp Eden. And so when I was 14, I did go there and do work experience. And it really opened my eyes to these passionate, incredibly healthy humans that loved what they did. And, I saw my dad as a farmer, working every day, working hard. And whilst I think he enjoyed what he did, to see people that were this radiant health and passion with the joy they were getting out of working with guests, that's what really inspired me. So that planted the seed when I was 14, went back to living on the farm, had my own pet kangaroo.
So did I. We could share a story.
Did?
I did,
Wow.
Yeah. And a pet emu.
Oh, okay. Well, I need to know about that. Yeah, incredible, opportunity growing up. It was such 140 acres of tropical rainforest.
In the hinterland.
Oh,
beautiful.
And, bananas, avocados, pawpaws were there as well. Mum and Dad lived the wellness lifestyle. And so that seed that was planted, I then wanted to explore that straight after I finished school. So I went back when I was 18 and I spent the next 5 years working at Eden and really working my way up. Started in the lowest paying office position and I just said yes to every opportunity that came my way. Before you know it, I'm program coordinator, which means you have 50 guests coming in and you're the host of that program.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, and you take them through and, it's a really privileged position because you get to see the guests coming in all sorts of chaos, having had burnt the candle at both ends, physically, mentally, emotionally, out of whack. And, no matter what state of chaos they're in, what I saw was wellness always gave them back that equilibrium. And so I would work 100 hours in 1 week when you're there. So you witness every moment.
That doesn't sound like equilibrium at your end.
Correct. That's why it's not forever.
Yeah.
And then you have a week off. Week on, week off.
Okay.
So you're there for the entire guest experience. And for me, that solidified my belief in wellness because I just saw that it worked so well. And, 35 years ago, it was considered a bit woo-woo or a bit left to feel a bit hippie. But now there's enough evidence. Thankfully, science has caught up and there's enough evidence to say there is value in wellness and how it can bring you back from that state of chaos and really help you to move forward. So the 5 years I had immersing myself in that incredible environment was just a very steep learning curve for me. Certainly challenged my work ethic, in really working that hard. And I guess it then planted the next seed for me was we cocoon our guests in this incredible experience and, they come out feeling amazing and this sense of equilibrium and reset and clarity. But what next? Where do they go to from here? And if you think back sort of your 30 years ago.
Well, I know where it sets because you just go back and start the chaos journey all over again.
Correct. Yeah. And that's what I witnessed. And so that didn't sit that comfortably with me because for me, wellness is not 1 week of the year.
Yeah.
Wellness is a way of life. But what are we missing here? Because guests are leaving in this this amazing place, but then they're actually not able to integrate this into their world. And when I looked into it, there just weren't the resources available for them.
No,
it wasn't there at that point in time, and it wasn't easy. So I really understood that, and that planted the next seed for me, which was imagine if I could create an urban retreat where those guests could continue on with what they've learned and actually thrive rather than fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
And so, 28 years ago, I moved to Melbourne. 50% of our guests were Melbourne, 50% Sydney. So it's like, which one?
That's saying something about the stress capitals. Absolutely, yeah.
And came up with the concept that I would start Aurora Spa, and it was going to be that urban destination to support our guests for the long term. And
was anybody else offering that in the marketplace at that point in time?
There were no spas in Australia.
None.
So plenty in Europe and plenty in the US, but none in Australia.
So what year are we, Lyndall?
97.
97 and no spas in Australia.
No spas. So there was rapid growth after that. But there were no spas at that point in time. So it was a concept that really needed some education around it as well because people were like, are you building bathtubs with bubbles? Like, what is a spa?
So did you travel internationally to look at what was happening overseas? Or
I did
what did you
time,
do?
But I was very clear on the vision I wanted to create. I didn't want to be the destination retreat because I fully believe and still believe that there's such value in going away once a year to really invest in your health in a retreat where you do have that health environment. You're immersed in it. And I wanted to be the reset. I wanted to be that little reset that you come back to. So I knew that, I wanted to create this environment that guests could come to us for 60 minutes or for a whole day. And from that, they can get that refuel to continue on and keep achieving all the things they want to achieve in their life. So that was how we, that was how we commenced.
Yeah.
And then in time I did travel. I actually did a trip where I did 60 spas in 6 weeks, which...
That's your Camp Eden work ethic, 100 hours.
Correct. It was incredible to see the culture of spa in so many different countries.
Any stand out?
Yes, 2. So my most favourite is Thermavals in Switzerland. So that's an iconic spa that really has stood the test of time. Peter Zumpfer is a well-known architect for creating that masterpiece, and I think it's just such a statement of less is more. It's profound bathing, and that really struck me back then. Came in a little later in my life with the new bathhouse.
Yes,
but that's really where that seed was planted. And then Miami Resort in Arizona, and this is where we had beautiful spa treatment rooms and areas built into these incredible red cliffs that were the colour of Uluru. And, the reception, the waiting area had a red earth floor that was blessed by Native Indians every year, and there was just so much ethos and philosophy and culture behind it, and that's what really stood out.
Beautiful.
It was the ones that were very authentic to what they did, and they stayed true to that.
So as a female entrepreneur, you scaled your organisation now and employ, what you said, 49 women in the organisation?
Yeah, so at Aurora, there's 49.
Yeah.
We do have
How many men?
We have two.
Two men?
We have two. They're always outnumbered I've worked with females all my career, really, with a sprinkling of males.
Too? So is the industry globally female-centric in the staffing?
Yes.
It is?
Yes. Yeah. Generally, if you look at the beauty therapist and massage therapists, they're predominantly female careers. Generally, if you go into your sort of physio or remedial massage, there's more males in there as well. And thankfully, there's more males taking on beauty therapy as well.
Yeah.
But still not to the numbers that there will be for the females, in taking on those careers. So I think the caregiving role, the females do very well with that. And
Can I ask what the guys do in your organisation?
Massage.
They do massage, yeah?
Yes. And we have had some bathhouse attendants as well.
Okay.
Where they're, educating our guests on the journey. But no, they're in their massage, so deep tissue massage.
So can you take us behind the scenes of what it was like in the early days of being a first, because that's uncharted territory.
Yes.
And as you suggested, you hadn't really travelled at that point in time. So there wasn't someone to look at in your immediate front yard to reference. How unnerving was that?
Well, I was 23, so I think I was a little naive as well.
That might have been to your benefit. And
maybe. And, this little sheltered Queenslander that had lived on a farm with a kangaroo was sort of landed in the middle of St Kilda. And St Kilda was eclectic. If we're talking 97.
Very eclectic and a bit grungy, yeah.
So to open a spa...
it wasn't gentrified in any way then.
No, I had lots of interesting surprises and things that happened from, people dressed up as fairies in the front yard to people wanting all sorts of...
every other day.
Yeah. All sorts of massage that we didn't offer.
Yeah, right.
And so I was really shocked by, I guess, the wildness of St Kilda at that point in time. And
why did you choose it?
Because there was a really beautiful 1870s Italianate mansion, and it had such soul, and the space was incredible. Opposite Catani Gardens.
Yes.
So it was the perfect location for what I wanted to do, because a lot of it was exercise as well.
Right.
And so that sort of lended itself really well. I guess I have a strength of perseverance. When you do a strength test, it always comes out that my perseverance is very high. So I guess my perseverance to the vision I had in mind was really clear for me. So I guess I had plenty of people that said, this will never work. This will never work in Melbourne. Who are you to come to Melbourne? You don't know anyone. I had someone say to me, how do you think you can start a business?
And you're not on a soapbox yelling out. You're a quiet, softly spoken individual. That could be misconstrued.
Yes, well, I think for me it was always that every person that walks in the door needs to have an experience beyond their expectation, because then they are our ambassadors. And that's what we work on, because 1997, I can tell you, there wasn't much social social media around.
No.
And so,
No.
it was about, and still to this day, I do think that's one of our best forms of marketing. It's through the guest experience.
The guest experience. Yeah.
So we're
Did you take
focused.
out any ads, or did you rely on word of mouth?
Hugh Jackman and Totty Goldsmith did something on Foxtel.
Well, that's helpful.
Which was great. And Totty knew me from Camp Eden, so that was really lovely. And that helped. And then I got on the, Totty then went on the Good Morning Show with Bert Newton.
Because you would have had plenty of famous names through Camp Eden de-stressing.
That helped. I mean, literally the day she went on Bert Newton, it was like my second day of opening and the phone rang and I was like... I only had one line, picking up the phone, hello. So I very much was at the coal front with it all and got to sort of live it. But I guess my biggest thing has always been protecting the guest experience and ensuring that experience is the best it possibly can be. And, still to this day, which we'll get to in Sorrento, we run day retreats and I'm always looking for big impact, maximum impact in the minimum amount of minutes. Because when I moved here from Melbourne, we had the guests for 6 days. So I had a lot of time to get to know them and to be able to navigate their personal journey. When I came to Melbourne, I had them for 60 minutes.
Yeah, it's not so revealing.
It needed to be expressed and I needed to really create impactful moments, which is why I started hand mixing products and created a product company. Not because I thought I want to sell products, because I made these products. I used them on the guests because they were at a higher intensity and the therapy of them was higher. And then a guest asked if he could buy some. And I was like, oh,
and we love your Aspa
that's
product.
Strange. Thank you. But it did take me putting it into a Ziploc bag and giving it to him to think I should get more professional.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
I always am led by what the guests need. And for me, that sort of, the penny dropped that day because we had the destination retreat that you go to annually. We have the monthly top-up at the spa, but we have the daily self-care with the product. So, that's the self-care loop is complete.
Yeah. So has more of your inspiration come from feedback from the guests or looking out to the marketplace externally?
I'd say it's a balance.
Yeah.
Because, I always want to be guided, like Aurora Spa and Bathhouse in Sorrento now is very much what the market's ready for now. And when we were in St Kilda, it was very much about really landing spa in Australia and what the market are ready for and how we educate the market on the benefit of spa and taking it out of pamper and indulgence and into wellness and, thriving health. And so I feel like, it's always listening to the guest as the priority. And then I don't follow trends, but I like to look at evidence as to how we can enhance our guests' health. And doing that, in the shortest amount of time is where I sort of what really
So from
inspires
97 to 2025, what's been the growth in the industry?
Enormous.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at bathhouses in the last year, we've gone from we had the Hepburn as a bathhouse.
Yes.
And Peninsula Hot Springs, but now we would have well over 200 in the industry. So
since COVID?
Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot of bathhouses. I know within spa, when I started, within 8 years, there were 600 spas. So it's a rapid growth, and that's fantastic. But
it's incredible.
The market are ready for it. That's what they're saying.
Yes,
and that's really wonderful.
Experiential is also high on the consumer shopping list rather than
yeah. I think people are
goodies.
Looking for meaningful moments, and when they experience the therapy of spa and the therapy of bathhouse, people walk out of the bathhouse and they just say, what just happened in there? I feel very different. And we've got, 23-year-old male who is a successful business owner, and his mates want to go fishing, and he brings them into the bathhouse. He goes, mate, you need to come in and do this. You'll feel different. And then they come in every single time when they're in Sorrento and have their bathing experience. And other people say that their house in Sorrento is now a retreat because they bathe before they go to their house, so that sort of gets them in the mode of switching off their nervous system, because I guess the thing I've seen a lot of over the years is people's nervous system being quite tested.
Shot.
Fried, tested.
So on that point alone, do you think there's a direct correlation in the growth of the industry and what you're seeing and the rise of social media?
I do.
And handheld devices?
Yes, I do. Look, we've always had tension in shoulders and in our body from looking at computer screens and, our posture and all of those things, but it's accentuated now. And, the stress on the physical, and then we look at the mental and the emotional, and, it's impacting people's sleep. It's impacting how they switch off, their mood. Anxiety is a big one that we see a lot of, especially in the younger generation. So there's been a spa and bathhouses are needed now more than ever, and we're really proud that at Aurora we've always been technology free, and there's not many places that we go now without our devices. And so if you can remove that device and then just allow the nervous system to be rebuilt and nourished, that's what we really aim to provide our guests with, that experience. So
anybody resist that?
Plenty. Yeah. We've had people
they don't want to leave it at the door.
Putting them in pot plants and hiding them in robes.
I can remember that in my hinterland experiences of people getting gifts sent partway through the week, which would be blocks of chocolate and another phone. I was with a very devious group, clearly, but that really struck me because they were all the things that they knew they weren't going to have for a week, and they were getting them sent in as a midpoint because they thought they'd need them.
Well, one of my jobs at Eden was to do the pickup from the airport, and that was an entertaining job because you could pick
any
the health
stories
retreat
you could share out
that
of that?
were sculling coffee while they're eating chips and some chocolate, just trying to get their last fix in.
And they'll be the ones who would have been throwing up detoxing the next
Tuesdays.
day. Yeah.
Tuesdays was the day that some people didn't make it out of bed, and that was when I decided to myself that I would never drink coffee.
Oh, really?
And I haven't ever. And mainly because I saw the extreme of what it could do. And sure, it was in overdrive, but I thought I never want to have that.
Isn't that an interesting imprint?
I've seen the effects of that. And, Tuesdays we would have people that could not get out of bed and just vomited all day and, very unwell from detoxing just from coffee. And, other people detox from stress or drugs or cigarettes. But coffee was a big one that stuck with me. So I'm a chai drinker, and I love the smell of coffee, but I'm not going to.
Yeah,
there
you go. So when we hit COVID, you were still operating in St Kilda at that time with Aurora.
Yes.
What happened? Because, we know everything in service industry came to a grinding halt.
Yeah, that was a really challenging time for us and a lot of other businesses. We moved our product company closer to our home because we just didn't know
what was next.
How do we do that? How do we send out orders? What do we do? And before COVID, 9 months before we shut, I had made the decision we weren't going to renew our lease in St Kilda. So I had a window of time for our guests to use their vouchers and to come in and see Aurora, and that kept getting cut shorter and shorter every lockdown because we had we had an end. We had a line in the sand that that we had to finish.
That must have felt stressful for you.
That was incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
So I at that point didn't have the next step organised. So really it's like...
Sorrento wasn't on the radar.
Wasn't on the radar at that point in time when I was in the throes of the COVID, so of that COVID shutdown. And so, it was incredibly stressful. And I came to the point of thinking, if the next door doesn't open, I'm okay with that. I sort of went, we've given 25 years to the local community of being this place of retreat for our guests. And, only if the opportunity is right will I continue on. So for me, it was the point I sort of, I was peaceful with my decision around that. And I was like, okay, we'll just see how the next little bit unfolds.
And you had a multifaceted business. You had a product offering that could have continued in its own right.
Which has, Yes, so I knew that was always there, but whether the retreat was going to continue on, it needed to be the right fit for us because operating in St Kilda did become more stressful as well, different owners to what it was and not in alignment with wellness, essentially. Yeah. And so it became harder.
Back to fairies in the front yard.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense at all.
And so, it wasn't, and then till right near the very end of finishing up in St Kilda that the next opportunity presented itself. And I was only going to be taking that if it really worked, and it was the next evolution for Aurora, and bathing was a big part of it because my passion is the culture of European bathing.
I was going to say, Switzerland was reverberating in the back of your mind.
Yes, it really was because, we had a lot of treatment rooms in St Kilda. We had 22 treatment areas, which is a big spa.
It's enormous.
In comparison to in Sorrento, we have 8 rooms, so even bigger with treatment rooms. But I felt like the market was now ready for the next evolution. And for me, the European culture of bathing, they get that it's a therapy. Yeah. In some of the European countries, it's still a part of their healthcare system. You get rebated by bathing. Imagine. That's my legacy piece. That's what we need to work on.
We do.
For me, if there was a bathing as a bigger offering and we could design that space to really support where our guests are up to now, that was appealing. And, I have always gone to Blairgowrie for summers and for switch-off time as well. So I really saw that part of the peninsula as a switch-off, and I thought that would be an incredible coastal retreat. And, the concept of a historic property always appeals to me as well. And so when the opportunity came up to purpose-build a facility at the Continental, which was double the size of Aurora, and have the full bathing facility, it was just like okay, universe, I do keep going.
Yeah.
This is the next chapter.
Wow. Can I come back to that point you said about the legacy piece and that some parts of the world actually subsidise that as part of healthcare? Do you have the opportunity, or is it in your purview to create the opportunity to open up a discussion around that with decision makers?
Yes, I think that there's some great work being done in the Australian spa industry now. For example, next month there's a spa summit up at Gwingana where all the spa operators from around Australia and New Zealand gather, and there's international speakers, and it's a summit. That's where these type of discussions are taking place. And so it's absolutely on the radar.
Walking up the hill when it's in numbers.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we would all love it to be a part of the healthcare system. And it's gaining enough evidence now, for that to be a discussion. So
I'm sure there's plenty of politicians who go through those doors too.
Exactly.
And your doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So no, it's on the radar.
Yeah, interesting. Well, coming up, let's explore why wellness on that thread isn't a luxury and the warning signs that tell us when the tank's running empty. If you're loving the Power of Women podcast, be sure to jump on to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss an episode. So, Lyndall, as part of your wellness ecosystem that you've created, which is the spa, the wellness retreats, and coaching services, and you're also a published author, so there's a few strings to your bow. But I know you often speak about wellness as refueling the petrol tank. Oh. Why do you think so many of us, and particularly women, ignore the warning lights until burnout actually hits us?
Yes, it's a really good question, and it's one that I see with the guests walking in our doors daily, that we tend to get to this point. And the analogy I like to give is, when you're driving around and you've, in your car, and you are in a petrol car, for example, and the light is on, that your petrol is low, are you just cruising around in the city thinking, I am so relaxed right now?
No.
I am chilling out. Life is good. No, you're not. You're going, okay, what's my plan? If it happens at this intersection, or if it happens at the next intersection, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that? Where's my wallet? Have I got da-da-da-da? You're going through every scenario in your brain because your petrol tank has got down so low, you go into overreactive mode, which takes up a lot of thought, process and anxiety as well.
And life's the same.
Our personal energy tank is exactly the same. It's about when we get down to that red light, that's when the anxiety kicks in. That's when we're feeling overreactive. That's when we're not making our best decisions. That's when we're clouded in our thinking. We're feeling quite foggy. We're trying to figure out the plan, but we can't see it, but we're almost forcing it all because there's nothing in the tank to bounce off, right? And it's about how do we keep that tank in the orange and ideally in the green? What does it look like? What do we need to put in to refuel our tank to get it up to the orange and the green? And I always look with my coaching clients, always look at how they eat, sleep, move and switch off. If you think of them as a little circle, you've got quadrants there, and we think about all those quadrants and what they're doing for our wellness. And the one I'd probably start on is sleep.
And is that, there's a commonality in this, I'm guessing?
Well, these four are your foundations of wellness. And, the sleep and we talk about technology, how many people are sleeping with their phone next to their bed and then using their phone as their alarm clock? So then...
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty.
You're not alone. A lot of people are doing this. And our sleep is what is the dishwasher for our brain. This is where we get our energy. This is where we refuel our tank, but we refuel our brain. But we also refuel our self-regulation to be able to make great decisions. And so in the morning, if you've had a terrible sleep and interrupted sleep, chances are you're not going to eat well. You probably won't move your body and you'll probably spend more money. Now, there's evidence around that.
Yeah, there is.
So how do we be the protector of our sleep? Because there's plenty of sleep robbers out there, and our phones can be one of those.
Of the women that you're working with and coaching, and even in the corporate settings, if you were to ask how many hours sleep is the average person getting, is there an average?
It's the quality of the sleep that's important.
Okay, so time is...
So some people can be in bed for 7 hours or 8 hours, but the quality isn't there.
Yeah.
So therefore the sleep isn't great. And I did a corporate talk last week where you have 100 people. Raise your hand if you sleep with your phone next to your bed, 90% of the audience.
I'm glad I'm not the
You're not alone.
exception.
So if there's some small wins, and I'm always about the low-hanging fruit, what are we doing, the small things that help to create greater change in your world?
So is it the beeping of the phone that's the issue, or is it the radiation or vibration?
It's the fact that you're at them we know that we need an hour of no screen time in order to give our brains the time they need to decompress from the day. And so, first is getting off the phone an hour before bed minimum. We know the most restorative time for our sleep is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And so that means you're getting to bed hopefully around 9 and you're off your device at 8. Now, most people find that difficult. So we start at that end.
I'm behind the 8 ball, yeah.
Then you've got your phone next to you, and then what's your alarm? It's your phone, okay? So you pick up your phone is the first thing you're touching in the morning. Now, do you just pick it up, turn your alarm off and put it down? Or do we go, I might just check my emails, or I might just check social media, or I might just check the news? And this is about triggering our stress response.
So because you're straight into it.
You're straight into it. So think of protecting your nervous system and being kind to yourself. And whether that stress response is mild, medium or extreme, it's having a negative impact on your health. It's aging you prematurely. So
physically stiffens up our body.
Correct. So if we just remove that device from the bedroom, then you have, you're the protector of your sleep and of that space for the quality and the quantity. And that's your benchmark to start with. So let's get the foundations right and let's remove those devices, get an old-fashioned alarm clock so that you can just turn it off, the actual alarm, without all the other things going on.
There you go.
Sleep is a big part of it, and then, how you eat, how you move, and how you switch off are also very important. And the switch off is what I obviously see a lot of in the spa, where people do feel guilty and they're still in that mindset of it's selfish.
To be there.
To have time out. And so that's always an interesting one to talk about as well, about our priorities and just, the impact of your community, your work community, your family when you are refueled versus when you're empty. And
that's an interesting conversation, isn't it? Because if you're not refueled, what you're providing to family or workplace is clearly going to be compromised, yet you still feel guilty for taking the time out to pause.
Yes, and it eventually, catches up through resentment and other emotions that are not great for a body, or they cause inflammation in our body, or they don't help our relationships in any way. So it always comes around, and, I dive into that with my coaching clients, but I see it in the spa as well. When we have our day retreats, our guests come at 9 in the morning and leave at 4 in the afternoon. So we get a deeper dive into their challenges as well. And when someone's done a day retreat for a whole day, I say, you give me 1 day, I'll give you 3 in return. Because that's what it feels like. We're running a retreat next month, which is 3 days. So you give me 3 days, I'll give you 7. It's about how do we intensify your ability to restore your nervous system and therefore restore equilibrium in your world, for whatever that looks like. To be achievers, great, but do it from a full tank where you're going to be making fantastic decisions and seeing the best opportunities.
So is it frustrating when you see that guest come back at rock bottom next visit? Because I'm sure that happens, and I'm sure not all of them take the messages on board and change their ways,
Yes, look, coaching clients are a little different because you're so invested in the journey and you're accountable. They're accountable to one person. So that's very satisfying. And then the guests that go through the spa, it's all about what level they're going to have an impactful experience in. And, I talk about the bathhouse as you can chit-chat your way all the way through the bathhouse and have some hot, cold, stop in the sauna, blah, blah, and then come out and go, hey, that was nice. Or you can go to the bathhouse and you can be really present with yourself and really work on restorative breath for your nervous system and immerse yourself in every experience. And when your mind wanders, pull it back and actually, practice wellness while you're there, and you'll walk out and go, that was transformational. So, it's about where you want to land. If you want that experience of feeling very different, it's available if we're open to it. And sometimes the guests might come to the bathhouse and it's the very first time they've been to a bathhouse. So it takes a little moment to get into it. And then in time, we've had very emotional guests and guests that are very touched by the experience. And that's what we aim to get to.
Are males or females more accepting to do the latter and go in a more mindful approach?
Sometimes the males are dragged along.
Sounds like shopping.
In our marketing program, we might call them the reluctant husbands.
Yeah.
But they're generally the easiest ones to convert because they're completely caught by surprise. And if I look at our regular repeat guests that are coming in weekly, the majority of those are male.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because
that's interesting.
I think that males, from what I see, when we talk to males about their program of moving forward, they just commit to it. Whereas I think females find it harder to balance the priorities and the juggle. And they do have probably more.
And that's the guilt, as opposed to the guys so the guys come back because it's okay. It's like golf.
Yeah.
I can take all Wednesday or I can go to the spa.
It's a therapy.
Interesting. And they probably know how to make it tax deductible without you speaking to the government, where us girls have probably not latched on to that yet.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting though, in the psyche? So in your coaching, are you coaching men and women?
Yes.
And do you find in that setting that women struggle more to give themselves permission than the men when you're talking in a coaching session?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, really simply. I coach a lot of, female lawyers, and that's a high stress, career. And they sometimes find it very challenging. Predominantly male dominant industry as well. And so they find that really difficult to innately not stop proving themselves.
And they're probably more inclined to take on board the emotion of the story that they might be representing too, I suspect, through a more empathic view of the world.
Yeah, so I think it's a greater challenge for them.
Well, I mean, I'm asking a question that was kind of a rhetorical question, but I was hoping it might not be quite so black and white.
Sorry.
So how do you demonstrate or educate somebody that, the permission to pause is okay?
I think people seek it out or find it when they're ready. And from what I've seen over the years, sometimes it'll be someone buying a gift voucher for someone, as a gift of time out. They see that someone's working hard or is going through a particularly challenging time, and they've reached out with a gift of care.
That's always been how I have landed at a retreat or a spa.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so never booking yourself in?
I've never booked myself in. It's always been through the route of it being a gift.
Okay.
And I haven't realised that until you have just said that.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, not unusual as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of people can be gifted that because generally the person gifting it to you has had this experience that they think you're going to benefit from, going back to them being our ambassadors. They're ambassadors for change, and they're ambassadors for seeking you to have nourishment and nurturing. And, that's how some people come to that experience. And, others might try a day retreat with us, or they might, a friend has told them about the bathhouse. But, now wellness is, very openly discussed, and it's fantastic that people are going, let's go bathing rather than go to the pub. Let's do something that actually we feel, better from, rather than, something that perhaps we don't wake up feeling so great the next day. So there's a lot more emphasis on that as well. I've got a daughter that's 21 and doesn't love nightclubs, but she goes sauna cold plunging with a group.
Fantastic.
In a group environment for social wellness. And she goes to the bay when there's, big breathing, cold plunge workout on down there as well, and they do that together. So this next generation are a little wiser on the wellness side of it, and they're very embracing of it because there's now the evidence behind it to show that it really works.
And they've looked at our work-life balance flaws and said, don't want to do what you're doing.
Yes, and I think, globally things have shifted with COVID, and ways of working have changed as well. So, they're really leading it in a new direction as well. So there is definitely that younger generation are very open to going to a spa and a bathhouse as social wellness or wellness for themselves as well. And then, there's the exhausted new mums and that sort of next generation of trying to balance the priorities of what they've got going on. And I've been there. I know it's tricky. And that's perhaps when you're able to have more micro moments.
Yes.
Where you can have your 10-minute daily rituals where you don't have to leave the house, but you can still have those moments of pause. And I think that's where our product rituals come in, that you can have, simply washing your hands with our hand wash. The essential oils are built to calm your nervous system. So if you can just have...
Now I know why your body wash makes me feel so wonderful when I start my day with that in the shower.
Is that the grapefruit?
The grapefruit, yeah.
So that's what I use in the morning.
Yeah.
I use the rose and aloe at night because it's very calming. But in the morning, that's about kickstarting our nervous system, but also our thoughts and creating that clarity. And every morning when I use my grapefruit body cleanser, emulsify all over my body and then... 3 deep breaths. And then when you feel that, overwhelm or pressure coming throughout the day, you can hook yourself back to that feeling and almost smell that aroma because you were so present. So it's about how do we bring more presence to what we're already doing, because we know the science is showing that by controlling our breath is the best way to reverse our stress response.
I have, over subsequent time, put in... a 3-4-5 breathing reminder into my diary every morning so that I start at my desk in that manner. Beautiful. And it was interesting. I did an interview with somebody in the biohacking space, and I'm still not quite sure where I sit on biohacking. It's as long as it's more along the lines of wellness than extremity. However, talking with somebody the other day, and a breathing technique that I was aware of but had never done, which is the breathing in, fully exhausting the intake and then taking a further breath. I fall asleep. I fall asleep very quickly anyway, but I fall asleep immediately.
Oh, wow.
After doing 3 or 4 of those, so I'm gone.
You do it when you get into bed at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great way. I like to call it the bookends of your day.
Yeah.
So how do you start your day and how do you finish your day?
I'm not failing quite as badly as I thought,
Lyndall.
Lyndall.
Doing well.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
The body wash.
You know what?
Yeah.
This wellness, the whole wellness thing is a practice.
Yeah.
This is not something we master. This is something we continually evolve and we practice to get better at it. So no one is an expert on mastering. There's just different levels of knowledge, and for me, different amounts of people I see and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And when I say to my guests, go and meditate for 40 minutes, they look at me like, are you for real? I don't have 40 minutes.
And I can just hear that.
I've learned over the years that building in these practices that are easy and portable are really important, because during the day you don't know what call you're going to get or really what control you've got over your day. You think you've got a plan, but that could change. Whereas how you start the day and how you finish the day generally is under your control. So I have 3 things in the morning and 3 things in the evening.
So what's your indulgence?
So they're more bookends of the day.
Okay, not indulgences. They're life practices.
Yeah, they're just practices that really help me to just, keep that equilibrium through the day, or, come back to it. So number 1, make my bed. Number 2, mindful movement.
Yeah.
And number 3, mindful shower.
Okay.
So
I'm on par. I'm good.
Got that?
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, it's journaling, because I want to get out what's in my head onto paper.
Yeah, journaling is on my phone. Is that okay?
Better
into my notes section. Better in a book.
Well, the phone's not going to be near your bed anymore, so you need to buy yourself a journal and a pen.
Yeah.
And put that down.
I've got one. I've got a journal in my bag.
Yeah. Always better to write it down.
Yeah.
So really, getting that out on paper. And then I like to do my breathing.
Yeah.
And then I use my essential oils. So they're, in the form of a thermal balm, which is on the pressure points of my shoulders and my neck, or using Australian essential oil.
And that's your rose fragrance.
Yeah, that's actually camphor and peppermint, so it's quite intense. And I use it on the back of my neck and down into my shoulders, because it's like a petrochemical-free tiger balm.
Yes.
It's that liniment type balm.
You relax.
For me, it just stops my thoughts, because it's so intense.
And I know when I jump into bed what I do, and I learnt this many years ago when I developed an autoimmune condition and had alopecia totalis for 4 years and was totally bald. Another story. However, a practice that I learnt from that time that I have never let go is when I lie in bed at night, I go through from my toes through to my head and go through the mental let go in each point. And you realise how much you're lying there.
Yes.
Holding on.
Yeah, you're doing your own yoga nidra.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. And we hold so much tension in our jaw, for example. And sometimes it's not till you lie down in bed that you realise, I am so sore in my jaw, or actually I'm squinting my eyes because I'm feeling the pressure. So those sorts of practices. But for people that don't know what a yoga nidra is, there's plenty of great apps where you can, Insight Timer is a free app and Yoga Nidra is on there as well. But the other thing you can do is just diaphragmatically breathe.
Yes.
Get the breath down to the belly. So when we're lying in bed, that's the best time to do it.
Because it's a straight line, you're not folded up and seated.
Yeah, so you're just wanting to raise the belly and not chest breathe, because when we're under pressure, we generally chest breathe, and it's that fight or flight sort of stress response. So we want to be, really having these long inhalations, but even longer exhalations, so your body knows it's safe and you're really turning off that stress response and going into that rest and digest, which is the perfect place to start for quality sleep.
So if I was to say, what is the one point you would like the listeners to walk away from this conversation and recall, what would that be, Lyndall?
It's the small things you do every day that make the greatest difference. I see so many guests who go for the one big thing. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to do something enormous, and then a month in can't sustain it. So be kind to yourself in the wellness practices that you bring in, and bring in sustainable practices that you think you could be doing in 3 to 6 months' time. And if you think you can be doing that in 3 to 6 months' time, well, that's probably a great practice to bring in. But just be kind and gentle to yourself, especially it's an easy one to bring back to movement, because so often if someone wants to get fit, they start running 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres and then they get an injury. Just walk around the block. It's actually the habit that you're building that is more important than the quantity you're doing at the start. So you're just building a habit of movement. You're not trying to run a marathon, because actually in time you'll build up your cardio and you'll build up your tolerance for exercise. But to start with, you're actually creating the habit. And when we can create the habit, we have more automation in our body. We don't have to think so much because we get decision fatigue throughout the day. So just the small things, be kind and gentle to yourself.
Beautiful. So if somebody wants to find the spa,
yes,
bathhouse, where are we?
We are, there's a website, auroraspa.com.au. Aurora Spa and Bathhouse is located in Sorrento at the Continental Hotel, and the Spa products are online as well.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Lyndall. It's a reminder. I sit here and acknowledge everything you're saying and reminding myself how many things I don't do, but there's a few things that I do. So I'm going to challenge the listeners to do exactly the same thing. But the one thing that I am going to do, and I'm going to challenge anybody listening to do, is get an alarm clock and get the phone out of the bedroom. So
my job is done.
So your job is done.
Thank you so much.
There we have it.
I love that.
So if you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast. We're on all of the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we've got our own YouTube channel. Until next time. If you're loving the Power of Women podcast, hit that subscribe button and be sure that you never miss an episode. Until next time.